So, starting with the name of Allah, the most compassionate and most merciful, I'm conveying my greetings and best wishes to all of you. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm glad to be here with you with my lecture number 9 regarding the subject of sociology, that we will be discussing about the educational institutions. As we talked earlier in the previous lectures, that sociology is the subject that is the mother of all social sciences. I mean that other social science that begets from the subject of sociology gets its helps. So if you talk about the political science, so they will just discuss about the power and authority, voting system, and just political system in a country, and just will focus on political problems in a society. If you go and focus and study regarding the economic institutions, so they see only the economic aspect of a society. But sociology is a subject that is covering all aspects of human problem that humans are facing in the society. So and that is why sociology is called the mother of all social sciences. So that is why the topics varies. Each topic varies in our each lectures. So there are 5 basic institutions which is operating in human life, and these 5 basic institutions are established for a particular purpose. They are established to cater and provide fulfill the basic needs of humans in the societies. Among those, we discussed already the 2 of them. The first was family institution, and second we discussed about the economics. Now the third one, that is education. Without education, the progress in society is very much impossible. So education is a gateway to professions. Education is a gateway to progress in society. The progress of society is directly depending to the education systems. Developed education system in a country, and common and spreading of education to every citizen of a country will leads the country from the darkest leads the countries to from the darkness to the lightness. So that's why today we're discussing about self-education, the aims of education, and importance of education, as well the role of education in development of societies. As well, we will discuss about different forms of educations. So being as a students of faculty of economics, you should have to focus on this subject, that it tells you that if you would like to become an economist, to be a social economist. So that is why we are studying sociology. It tells to educationists that if you are producing a quality, of a students and giving them to the society for the service, try to produce the great quality of a students and give them to society, that they do their best in for solving of a problem. So that is why educational institutions in Afghanistan should play vital roles in providing of a great quality of education to the people. So do not sell their degree, because selling of a degree is itself a betraying with a country. It's not less than killing of a persons. So let us just get the degree to be a professionals in a professional manner. We have to show our professionalism in the societies to defeat the ignorance, to defeat the ill consequences that the country is facing in the future. So that's why there is a very good quotation in regards to the education, that a good education will makes you happy. It means that if you properly being educated, so it always make you happy. It will never be a tension and stress for you. But skipping and do not studying properly, but only getting a degree, of course, at the end result, if you see the consequences of such education, your life will be full of stress and tensions, but you will never feel happiness. So for the reason, a good education will make you only happy. So try to get a good education. As well as there is a very great scientist, Edward James. He says that education is a vaccine for a violence. So many violence taking place in our countries because of illiteracy and because of the education's destruction system of education. So that's why we say that it's a vaccine for violence. So when we give a vaccine to a human body, it enters the human body. It builds up an immunity against any foreign danger that enter the body, any microbes and any germs that enter the body. Already the defense mechanism would be improved by the vaccine. So that's why education is a vaccine for violence, it's a vaccine for social problem, it's a vaccine for reduction of criminal activity in society. So a very nice and good quotation, as it says that he who opens a school door, that person closes a prisons. मैं कसे कि दरवाज़े मकतब रा खलास कर वो दरवाज़े बंदी खाना रा बंद में साज़त तालीम ये गाना राय अस्तन बखातरी राय हली हम कश्मकशाई व मुश्किलात की माँ इम्रोज़ अमरा इशरो बरोज़ इंदरा जामिया इवानी माँ ज़रूरत न्याज़ ब बेशतर از چیز دیگر ما به ضرورت به تعلیم داریم. توسط این تعلیم میتونیم ما تکنولوژی اختراع کنیم، توسط این تعلیم میتونیم ما اقتصاد را پیشرفت بدیم، یک نظام سیاسی بهترین جور کنیم، یک جامعه پر پیشرفت جور بکنیم. خب به این خاطر education is very important. So let us discuss about that. To go for the introduction of education, that an individual is born only a biological being. When he comes to this world, the individual is born in coming to this world, but soon as a social being becomes he. The transformation from a biological to social, it takes place through the socialization process in the process of education. So education is a process that develops the personality and inherent capability of a child, and it socializes the individual to play adults' roles, to play essential roles in a society by providing the necessary knowledge and skills and make the person and citizen a responsible citizen of society. So sociologists are always interested to study educations and context of society. So the wealth of knowledge is acquired by an individual. So after studying a particular subject matters or experiencing life lessons that provide an understanding of something, so education requires instruction of some sort from an individual or composed literatures. The most common form of education that is resulting from years of schoolings that incorporate study of a variety of subjects. So we say that education by itself is a process of facilitating learning to the acquisition of knowledge and skill, values and beliefs and habits. Educational methods includes, for example, we are going to transform this knowledge to the other by storytelling, by discussing with somebody, by teaching and training someone, and direct research. So education frequently takes under the guidance of education, but learner may also educate themselves. Education can take place in formal as in informal means. So that is as Nelson Mandela quoted and said about education, that education is the weapons through which you can change the world. So let us now talk about the meaning of education. So literally or etymologically, the word education is derived from the educare. It's a Latin word meaning to bring up somebody, which is related to educere. By itself, educere, it means bring out or bring forth what is within the persons. It bring out the potential, it desire to lead the person. So education itself is taken from the Latin words meanings to develop in people or persons their habits and attitudes which he or they might successfully face in the futures. And education in the largest sense is an act or experience that has formative effect on the mind, character or physical ability of individuals. And as in technical sense, if we define that education is the process by which society that deliberately transmit its accumulated knowledge, skills and value from one generation to another generations. So that is what education means, to bring forward the persons and to develop the inner capability that the person is having and to develop the attitudes of a person's to make the persons a successful person, that he faces many challenges in their life. So as it is defined differently by different social scientists, that it is the process of facilitating of learning or acquisition of knowledge and skill, values and beliefs and habits. Secondly, it is defined that education is a form of learning in which the knowledge, skills and habits of a group of people are transformed from one generation to the next generation to the help of teaching, training and research. As well as we can say another social scientist, as it defined education, that it is the transmission of knowledge, skill and value either by formal or informal means. So Webster dictionary defined that education is the process of educating or teaching. Now that's really useful, isn't it? So it's teaching or educating the peoples. So education is further defined as to develop the knowledge or skill or character of. Thus from this definition we might assume that the purpose of education is to develop the skill, knowledge or characters of a student. So education is a gradual process which brings positive changes in human life and behaviors. So whenever a positive change comes in the behavior of a person, it means that is called a positive education. So itself we say that education is a process of acquiring knowledge through study or imparting the knowledge by way of instructions or some other practical procedures. So this education brings a natural and lasting changes and individual reasoning and as well as ability to achieve the targeted goals. And it facilitates us to investigate our own consideration and thoughts and make it ready to express its in various shapes. So in the modern time, it has acquired two different shades of meaning of the education, namely an institutional instructions. The first meaning is an institutional instruction given to students in school, college, or formally a pedagogical science which is studied by the students of educations. So education is a gradual process that almost bringing a changes in itself, the individual as well as in societies. But if the education has been imparted to the peoples in the right sense, in the right directions, in the right way, so through education, simply we can say that we can control everything that is being very much destructive for the society as well as the people, and it's always become a hurdles and an obstacle for the development of a country, of its nations. So these all things would be properly prevented with the help of educations to bring prosperity, to bring peace, security, development, growth, and happy life to the peoples. So as there is a lot of aims of educations, for many purposes we're getting education. So let me ask you the question that, do we really know why education is important? This is the questions that, do we really know why the education is important? An Indian philosopher, he was a professor of economics and political science. He very rightly underlined the importance of education around about some 2000 years ago. So he expressed the purpose of education in a few words. First, the first 5 main reasons why education is so important is education gives knowledge. That's why it's important. So education, it gives knowledge. It means that it develops in us a perspective of looking at life. It helps us from opinions and develop our own points of view. So when education gives us knowledge, based on this knowledge, so we're developing our own views and own idea and own concepts for different problems in the society. So that's why we're getting knowledge. And education is the catalyst for converting the information into knowledge. It makes us capable of interpreting the things correctly, and as well as applying the information in a real life scenario. Education gives us knowledge, and this knowledge will help us that how to interpret the knowledge correctly and how to apply this information, the knowledge that education gives us, how to apply them practically in a practical scenario where we require. So that is why it is the first reason that education is important. Secondly, education leads to career progressions, where it leads to our prosperity of career and professions. So we are weighing ourselves in the market on the basis of our educational skills and how we can apply them in the society. As well as good education is an eligibility criteria for employment in any sector of the industries. Expertise in a specific field opens the door to career opportunity. So that is why the second main reason of the education is lead us to career prosperity and career success. Education leads to career progressions, as it is said that an expert is one who knows more and more about less and less. So the third main reason of education is education builds a characters. It teaches the right behaviors in good manner, which make us a civilized member of a society. It builds the character and cultivates us into mature individual, and it's possible only by getting of proper educations. So education builds of character. It means it gives us an insight into living and teaches us to learn from our experience, to learn from our mistakes. It makes us a self-confidence. It develops our ability to think. It helps us to develop the ability to analyze and judge the things well. So that is the third main reason why education is so important. So education builds the character in sense it fosters the principle of equality and socialism. It forms a support system to excel in our life. So that's why we say that education is so important. So the fourth main reason why education is so much important, that is education leads to enlightenment. It means that this education helps to create a clear picture of the things around and erase all the confusions in the world. It kindles the flame of curiosity, and it helps to awaken our ability to questions and to reasons. So that's why education is very important. Education paves the path to disillusionment. It wipes up the wrong belief from our minds. توسط تعلیم ما می‌دانیم که همه بدبختی‌های جامعه، همه بدبختی‌هایی که ما شما امروز روبرو میشیم از بین ببریم. و فکر نادرستی که و نظریات نادرستی که ما در مغز ما هستند، در دماغ ما ثبت کردیم، او را از بین میبره. عقاید غلط را از بین میبره. It's because of education. So education leads to enlightenment. That's why it is so important. So education as a fourth major reason why education is important is education helps a nation to progress. تعلیم به خاطر پیشرفت جامعه بسیار مهم هستند. یک مملکت هیچ وقت، یک ملت هیچ وقت پیشرفت کرده نمیتونه تا وقتی که در اوج تعلیم عام نباشد، تعلیمی با کیفیت نباشد. So a country literate population is an assets. وقتی که در دولت ما انسان‌های باسواد داشته باشیم، این خودش یک سرمایه هستند. این سرمایه باز با پیشرفت جامعه استفاده میشه. به این خاطر میگیم که a country literate populations. Literate means مردمی باسواد که هستند. is an assets. یک سرمایه هستند. For the progress of a nation and for the enrichment of a society in general, education is very important. به خاطر بهبود جامعه، پیشرفت جامعه، به خاطر پیشرفت جامعه تعلیم بسیار مهم است. Education بسیار مهم است. And educations, if we see like it helps the government added educational programs and government grants to school and colleges. Why the government is giving the grants and giving the monies and giving the fund and budget to to many educational institutions in our countries. It's because the aim of this help in grants with the schools in college in the university is to fostering education in the society, to improve the system of education in society. So the future of a nation is safe in the hands of the educated. آینده یک ملت محفوظ هستند وقتی که این ملت در دست اشخاص باسواد باشد. So education is important for the social development and economic growth of a nation. So that is why education is important for this reason. And though not enlisted as one of the three basic human needs, education is equally important for everyone. So learning is a lifelong process. Self-learning begins at point where institutional education ends. The progress of self-learning continues throughout lives. وقتی که تحصیل مکتب پانتون خلاص شد با self-learning process شروع میشه. به خاطر میگیم که learning is a lifelong process. We are learning after even graduating from our PhD course. So it says learning is a lifelong process. Self-learning begins once the university is finished, where educational institutions are not there. The process of self-learning continues throughout one's life, and this is why education is so important. These were the 5 main reasons why education was so important. The same is the purpose of education. It developed the power of thinking in acquisition of information. Education is a search for right and truth rather than technical proficiency. It provides equipments and techniques. With the help of these equipments, we can go ahead and we can achieve great things in our life. Through education, we can meet the various needs of our life. The needs of our life will be fulfilled with the help of education. This education is being transformed to the generation in order to shape their attitudes. If attitudes are not good, if attitudes are bad, ethics is not good in society. So this education will reform the attitudes of individuals in the society to make them the great persons that they would do something better for their nations. This education prepare us for behaving in a certain manner. It tells us that how to behave in a society. It's all about because of education. So we can realize the social goal. It's because of the educations. Education socialize an individual and make the person to become a useful member of a society. So we become a doctor and engineer, and this doctor and engineer should become a social engineer, a social doctor, to become a useful member of a society. Not a doctor should not play the role of a butcher, just to take the rights of patients and misuse the rights of patients for their own personal interest. So education is looking for lasting truth, because education is always based on reasons. So this is many aims of the educations. Now, educational institutions, we simply define that educational institution is an institution which is dedicated to educations. So educational institutions are defined as it is an entity, it is an assets that provide instructional services to individual or educational related services to the individual in other educational institutions. So it is an assets of a society that is providing an instructional services to transform a quality of education, to produce a quality of humans to the society. And an educational institution is a place where people of various ages gain an education. Example of some of the institutions are preschool, primary school, secondary school, higher school, and further higher education, college and universities. So they give a wide variety of learning environment in a learning space. So it's very important for the prosperity of a nation. So now, why these institutions and establishments are being established? So institution or establishment is an organization that is founded and united for a specific purpose. So preschool is also an educational institution for children too young for elementary schools. Then after that, school comes, that is also an educational institution. So the school was founded in 900 years ago. In school, as an educational institution, faculty and students The school keeps parent informed, the whole school talent out for the game. It means that school or the place where we are learning the game of life, how to play this game. So after school we go to the college, and college is an institution of higher education that is created to educate in grad degree. Often colleges are parts of the universities. And universities are also educational institutions, a large and diverse institution of higher learning created to educate for life and for professions and to grant the degree. And why do we need education? Just like food and shelter, education has become basic necessity of life. Education mind means open and healthy mind. Education is a lifelong journey for every person from childhood to young age. Education never leaves your hand. It walks you side by side. If you would like to become a successful and make you a good career in your future, one has to be well educated. So need of education is like watering a plant, or it is like eating or drinking when the body facing any deficiency for its survival. Education is one of the important nutrients. It's one of the important foods. If you avoid watering your life, you will grow, but you will lack in capability in fruits of life. So education is most powerful weapons through which we can change the world. It's a quotation that has been said by the Nelson Mandela. So let us, according to my opinion, I would like to state that education is an essential factor in each and every individual life. Education gives us knowledge, awareness, facts and truth. In addition to all these, knowledge should be given to the student in the correct manners. If it is given in the correct manner, so they will transform it to the other generation correctly. And mutually the society will be benefit in effective and efficient way. So however, the secret of learning new things can be gained not only through education, but you can also learn from your failure in your life as well. And there is a saying that failures are the stepping stones to success. So furthermore, success doesn't come not only through education, but if we have a passion towards our dreams, even we can succeed in our life. So that is why it's very important, and we need it in our life. So education is not just to read and write. It is all about using education for their own advantage, and need to utilize the knowledge for our growths. And also this education can lead our own life without depending on others. It is not about making people literate. Literacy is entirely different from education is bad. We do education in order to depend on ourselves, not on others, to be independent in the society and freely move anywhere and works and use our expertise for gaining of the incomes and supporting of the societies. So that is why education is a gateway for the professions. Education is a progress of a society and a progress of individuals. So that is why it is very important to get the educations. So education by itself, it's the key to success. Without a good education, you will find it hard to achieve the success in your life. So we say that education is important because you will be able to think for yourself and communicate very intelligently with other peoples if you are educated. So those people who don't have a good education background, of course they will face a lot of difficult times in finding the jobs, and as well as earning the money. They might earn the less money. If a person is unable to reason and think for himself, then that person will have a problem in finding and keeping the jobs. They will not be very successful in life until they improve their educational background. So, education gives us the guarantee of success towards the getting up a professions. So, education is not much necessary to get success in life only. Yes, it is true. Educated people do success by having a good education in their respective field. But the more interesting thing is even uneducated people can be successful. It means not only educated people are successful in their life, the uneducated people can also be successful in their life as well. If they have the talent or passions, which they follow and want to create it in the way to be unique, for the one to be successful, a good mindset, a practical knowledge, and trust, passions, and a good tricks are required to achieve the success. If you visit other countries, in some country, they don't see the marks card at all to give a jobs to employee. They only see the passion and dedication of a person's toward the respective jobs. And almost it means that degree might be a piece of paper. It's not reflecting your behaviors. So what you are learning, that is reflecting your behaviors. But degree is only a piece of paper and can do nothing with it. So in many of the world, in the countries around the world, more percentage and high percentage good achievements, academic achievements would not be the standard for working for a job. But dedication and passion for a work and being respectful for a job, that might be the quality of a standard for getting of educations. So finally, without educations, the life is tasteless. Without the education, the life is full of disaster. Without education, the life is full of hardship. So that's why education is the only weapons, it is the only source. We can change the world, we can shape the world, we can bring reforms, we can make the life happier, we can make a great advancement in technological development will take with the help of education. No education, no life. No education, no prosperity. No education, no development, like in Afghanistan. As it has been war, has been imposed on Afghan society, so educational institution has been totally devastated, and it has been totally ruined, and it has been destroyed. So for the reason, millions of people are deprived of their primary and secondary and higher educations. Today they are engaged with many of the criminal groups. It's because of the lack of educations. Education will understand yourself first, and by getting of education, then you will understand your value in the society. You will weigh yourself that who you are living in the society. It tells you that you are not a worthless person, but you are a worthful person. You are a useful member of society. So we as an individual member of the society are responsible to bring positive changes, first of all in ourselves, then in our family, in society, in our countries. We are not useless, but we are responsible and accountable for this country. So let us go ahead with the getting of quality education, go for the professionalisms, and do something for this nations. So thank you for your attentions, and wish you all the best till the next lecture. Have a great time. Allah Hafiz.